Why are you taking pictures like 2 inches from my face?
I'm practicing my photography.
Well, guess what? It sucks. But practice makes perfect. If you're making online video, you know you've got to practice, but we're going to give you some of our best tips on how to practice to make your videos more engaging and connect with your audience a little bit better. Hi, I'm Eric.
And I'm Ryan.
And we are Pop Your Presence, helping you be better on camera and online. And what have we been doing lately to make our presentation a little bit better?
So something you can do, and we do all the time, is we read our material before we shoot out loud.
Exactly. So when we're practicing, we are not only just figuring out the lines, but we're figuring out how to communicate better the tone of the thing, because sometimes you write a line, it sounds great in your head, and then when you say it out loud, the idea didn't come across or the tone was wrong or something. So that is really our top tip for practice. Our next tip is something that we've learned kind of the hard way.
Well, we just went through this actually moments ago. So when you're practicing, you make sure that you have the camera on.
Just because you think that you're not going to film and you're just practicing, you might actually have a great take. We found that sometimes the first take is the best one because you got the intention right, you got the tone right, you got to communicate it right, and sometimes that just goes down the drain. So turn the camera on even when you're practicing.
So how about things not to do, Eric?
Try to memorize your lines and say them word for word, because they come across as performance when I got to get every single line right down to the dot.
Sometimes when you're so focused on having your lines memorized and saying the line exactly as you wrote it down, you're forgetting about the most important part, which is meaning behind the words you're saying.
So our recommendation is don't script out word for word. Practice that way. We're just big advocates of bullet points. So Ryan, we've been sometimes shooting on our cell phone. What's the problem with shooting on your cell phone?
Well, you're not staring at the camera. You're often looking at this big black thing, and that can often look a little weird to the viewer.
Right, because you're staring at your image, you're not staring at the lens. So what we like to do is we like to put a little dot on the camera, right by the camera here, because sometimes it's just hard to remember where the camera is. So practice talking directly to the camera, even if it's your cell phone.
Nervous tics. Something to always be aware of when you're filming is sometimes you sit down in front of the camera, you're a little nervous, and sometimes you fidget a little bit. So it's something to keep in the back of your mind and just not do.
Yeah, so review your footage afterwards. You might have something that you're doing that you're not even aware of. Look at your footage, and if you think it's gonna be annoying to the viewer, think about how not to do that.
What?
You know, a lot of people like to say a lot of ums. And yeah, you can cut it out on editing, but that's a little bit more work. So one of the ways to practice is to stop yourself when you're about to say just take a little pause for a second and then think of what you're gonna say next. It takes a little bit of practice to do, but that's a great way to practice, is cut out all of the excessive ums and so's. They don't come off so well on camera.
But let's say you're feeling pretty good, but then you get in front of the camera and you just freeze. You're nervous. What can you do, Eric?
Well, sometimes when you're really nervous on camera, you talk really fast. You gotta take it down a couple notches and think about what message you're trying to deliver and how you're trying to deliver it to your audience. We've been working a lot on tone in our videos. Can you explain what we've been working on?
So we've basically been trying to develop a more conversational based tone. When you're talking to the audience, you want to make them feel comfortable. So we talk to each other back and forth. We say our lines to each other. Something you can do is talk to another person and try to get that conversational tone down so that when you're talking to the camera, you bring that over to the audience.
Hitting the right tone is actually pretty important, and it really depends on the kind of videos that you're making, right? So, for example, if you have a dog training channel, I think the expectation is going to be kind of relaxed and friendly and so forth. On the other hand, what if you got like a real estate channel?
If you have a real estate channel, you bring up another expectation. This is going to be a little more serious, perhaps.
Yeah, a little more professional, and you're probably going to have some facts that you want to talk about with the property and so forth. So tone is really dependent upon the kinds of videos that you're making, but think about your tone and try to practice that tone as you're making your videos. So Ryan, what's the next tip that we're going to talk about in this video?
What? I couldn't hear you.
Oh, that's because I wasn't talking loud enough. One of the things that you might do as a mistake when you're early on in your video career is kind of speaking a little bit quietly because you're not that confident. Think about being a little bit louder. And our mic is actually just right over here. That's going to help you sound a little bit louder in the video. But really, it's just about projecting your ideas. And so you want to be a little louder than you normally would be just having a conversation with a friend.
So along those same lines, you want to be louder. How do you know if you're being loud enough? Well, something that we do and that'll help you practice is play back the footage.
Play it back right after you shoot the video, because it's not just about the loudness. There could be other issues too, and one of the big things that we found is we're trying to convey a series of ideas. Sometimes you need to go from A to B and have a transition, and sometimes we just didn't write that transition. It was like in our head, I was thinking of it, and we sit down to edit. It's like, oh, that transition actually was kind of missing. So what we've done is we sit down again and just reshoot that right on the spot. It's a great way of practicing, and also it's going to make your videos better too, because you're going to get that flow. Now, a lot of people, when they're making videos and they're pretty early on, they are striving for perfection. They want to get everything just right. Is that going to work?
No. Sadly, we cannot be perfect, as I've discovered after 2 years of making videos. Don't focus all of your energy and all of your time on being perfect. You'll make improvements as you practice and do these videos over and over again. It's just something that isn't realistic. You can't be perfect. When you come to YouTube, I don't think we're expecting like some Hollywood production by Warner Brothers or some crazy Stranger Things Netflix special. You're there to connect with another person that you can relate to. It's that whole perfection thing that sets people off. You don't need to be this crazy, highly produced Hollywood feature to make it on YouTube.
If you want to learn more about how to improve your camera presence and communicate your message online, we've got a Facebook group, we have Instagram, we have Twitter, we've got all these things, and don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.